By the mid-19th century, the United States stood increasingly divided over slavery's expansion into new Western territories. Southern leaders tied their identity and economic system to enslaved labor, while many in the North, though hardly unified, resisted its spread. When Abraham Lincoln won the presidency in November 1860, without carrying a single Southern state, secessionists saw proof that their political influence within the Union had evaporated. Between December 1860 and February 1861, 7 Deep South states, South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, announced their separation from the Union. They asserted a constitutional right to leave, portraying secession as a defense of state sovereignty and the preservation of slavery as they knew it. Delegates from the seceded states met in Montgomery, Alabama, in early 1861, drafting the Confederate Constitution, largely copied from the U.S. version, but explicitly protecting slavery. They elected Jefferson Davis as provisional president and chose a national design emphasizing continuity with the American founding, hoping to appear legitimate rather than revolutionary. The Confederacy claimed it merely sought independence, not conquest, but its leaders misread Northern determination. Lincoln declared secession legally void, pledging to preserve the Union by force if necessary. The crisis exploded at Fort Sumter, a federal garrison in Charleston Harbor. Confederate artillery opened fire on April 12, 1861, forcing its surrender and igniting the American Civil War. In the aftermath, 4 more slave states, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina, joined the Confederacy, while 4 border states remained in the Union. What had begun as a political dispute hardened into total war. At first, Confederate morale soared. Generals like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and others won major victories in the East: Bull Run, Fredericksburg, and Chancellorsville, feeding Southern confidence. The Confederacy hoped European powers' reliance on Southern cotton, especially Britain and France, would recognize its independence, but diplomacy faltered. Slavery made foreign support politically poisonous. By 1863, turning points arrived. Vicksburg fell to Grant's army, giving the Union full control of the Mississippi River. Gettysburg ended Lee's last Northern invasion, crushing hopes of a quick diplomatic victory. The tide of war turned decisively. Union numbers, industry, and logistics began grinding down Confederate resistance. William Tecumseh Sherman's march to the sea devastated Southern infrastructure, while Grant's siege operations pinned Lee's army around Petersburg and Richmond. Cities starved, railroads broke down, inflation skyrocketed, and morale eroded. Many enslaved people fled to Union lines, converting the war directly into a struggle for emancipation. On April 9, 1865, after the fall of Richmond, Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. Other Confederate forces capitulated within weeks. By late spring 1865, the Confederate government dissolved. Davis was captured, and its experiments in independence ended. The Confederacy lasted just 4 years, yet its impact on American identity, politics, and memory endured far longer. Roughly 620,000 to 750,000 Americans died, soldiers and civilians alike. The 13th Amendment formally abolished slavery, confirming that the very foundation of the Confederate cause was extinguished by war. In the century and a half since, debates over that legacy, between mythic lost cause nostalgia and factual historical reckoning, have reflected America's continuing struggle to confront race, memory, and national purpose. The Confederate States of America rose swiftly from sectional crisis, built on the defense of slavery, and fell inevitably before the industrial and moral power of a unified union. Its rise was bold, its fall catastrophic, and its shadow, a lesson on the cost of division and the peril of mistaking injustice for destiny, remains.